Um, what's up, Tater Tots? It's your girl Tati, back at it with another video. And today we have a special guest.
Hi, it's me. It's Ronald Savage Jr. here.
And y'all know I love him. Y'all see the creek in the background. Go ahead, cop it. We got
Go buy
Camden.
my book.
We
Go
got
buy my
Camden.
book.
Mm. And speaking of books, that's what we're about to get into. We did like a book swap. So we're gonna be talking about the books that we read in the book swap. So go ahead, make sure y'all are staying tuned so y'all can see what we got going on. So we both picked two books, right? We both picked a book. First, he gave me Sula, and then I think I gave you Friends. And did I give you Friends and Lover first, or did I
Yeah, you
give?
gave me Friends and Lovers and Everything I Never Told You. And I gave you Sula and Men Cry in the Dark.
Okay, because we were gonna do just one, but he wanted to put on for the black man. He
You
said
know what?
his book was
Look, let me just
waiting to
let me just
exhale.
explain it to y'all. I was sitting here searching high and low, trying to find a book to put on for black men that was not about trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got this. We got this book right here because they was all like, "Oh, it's Waiting to Exhale for Men, right?" And I'm like, "Well, I saw the movie. I ain't read the book, but I heard the movie was like the book, so I know I committed a sin, but still." You want to go first, Tati? You want to give your thoughts first before I give
So
mine?
yes, I can give my thoughts first. I got my notes right here. So we just giving a rating or what? Just overall.
Oh, if y'all want to know what I rated this was a 2.
Okay,
It
y'all.
started off as a strong 3, and I'm gonna tell you the exact point he got it 2. Just know we going all into the book. We're going all into it. So if you haven't read it, just
You
I
know,
don't know what to tell you.
I y'all, y'all. This book is a zero. It's a 0 out of 5 for me. This book is a 0 out of 5 for me. And Ronald knows I wanted to like this book so bad. When he was like, it got a 2, I'm like, nah, it can't be that bad. It's not gonna be that bad. It's not. So I'm really trying to
Look,
get there.
I
And
was rooting for this book. I wanted this book to win.
I did too. And I'm like, we off to a shaky start, but you know, it's the times, it's the 90s. Let me see where this goes. Is it satire? What's going on? Y'all, this book, it's I think what upsets me the most about this book is what it could have been. Like it has some
That's
points where it was like this book is getting good. Like it has some points where it flew, it like everything flowed, and then it's like he just didn't know how to mesh it together. Even for the times, we know like okay, the times things are different. They're gonna have different things they say, all of that. But this book, what it could have been and what it was, zero. And y'all, if y'all don't know, I'm not a hard critic. I'm not somebody who go into like details, but I think he just upsetting me so bad that I was just like, I can't, I can't. Mm-mm. Ron, you go ahead and tell your little spiel, then we can get it. Go ahead and tell your
let
spiel.
me
We can get
you know
into
what? I'm gonna tell you what my first issue was with this book. This book, the summary, I barely read the summary, but this book tells us this story is about Derek, Tony, Mark, and Ben, right? So I'm expecting to read from the perspectives of Derek, Mark, Tony, and Ben. So when we open the book, it's like okay, chapter 1 is Derek. I'm like, okay, chapter 2 is Derek. I'm like, all right. Chapter 3 is Tracy. I'm like, who is Tracy? That was the moment Michael earned that 3. I was like, oh, you didn't even commit to what you were supposed to do in the first place. When we start reading this book, I was like, whose head am I in? Like, who am I reading about? I don't even know what page it was when we finally find out, but it was like, whose perspective is whose? What's going on here?
for me.
Did you have that problem too?
For me, I think I knew it was. I didn't know the name, but I knew it was a man at the beginning. Because for me, ooh, I don't want to see your acknowledgments. I did not want to know he acknowledged. I'm sorry. He didn't. I was just flowing. I was just trying to, because I didn't know anything. I didn't know it was a Derek. I didn't know who was who. So I was just like, let me read this book. I was like, my first note say, I have hope, but let's see. I'm gonna live text this as if I was texting Ronald. So my friend, after that, my other note was, we off to a good / interesting start. It's the typical, mindset, especially for the 90s. And I was like, I've read some version of the radio segment a few times. Mm-hmm. Like if you read books, it's like you didn't read that a few times, especially from there. And I was like, I wonder if this is a satire of like man's thoughts or really how he thinks. Also, I'm wondering when the tears are going to come in. Right now, it's kind of seeming okay, but I'm wondering where is the hurt? Where's the exhale?
I'm gonna get to them tears.
We were comp majors, by the way, too, so maybe that's the perspective that this is coming from. But yeah, it was not.
Shoot, I was a comp major and an English minor, so I got some stuff to say.
Listen, that's the difference. I write, but I have more of a mindset of like just reading. I don't really think of like technical like things. I'm not into like writing, but I just try not to I don't really analyze all the time. Listen, we got the king right here, so he got his.
As you see, I write.
He write for real. He write for real. Like my little short stories, my little screenplays. No, Ronald be writing. Get his book. Shameless plug.
So shameless plug. But you know what? While we on the radio segment, that's when Miss Westside she first called in, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, ooh, is this gonna be like a mystery? Like, does he know who she is? And it's like a girl he cheated on or something, and that's why she asking all these questions. Because the segment was about why do men cheat. Mm-hmm. Which, if you didn't know, Michael wrote a book called Why Men Cheat.
Not that big.
So I feel like that was a plug, kind of like to go get my other book, so we can explain what people have been asking since the beginning of time.
That's why I said it was like a really worn out subject. But again, it's still a worn out subject. So I was like, I'm gonna let it slide. That's always been the topic of this, some type of man thing. And then it didn't. What helped though is that his magazine was about relationships. So it's like, I see. And I was happy about that because I like reading books where like Black people are just people, like they're just doing stuff, random jobs. Mm-hmm. You a banker here, you work in technology, you this, like it's not the struggle, but it's all the time. So,
and that's why I wanted this book to win, because it's about successful Black men. All of them run a business.
Listen, when we get into this, it was all the keys for success.
It had everything, and it failed.
So my next note, what's your next note?
Go ahead.
Because mine is like,
my next note was, that's when we got Tracy, and I was like, why are we hearing from Tracy and not Tony about his relationship? I didn't mind hearing from Tracy, but I'm like, we should have heard from Tony first, because this is called Men Cry in the Dark. I want to know about the man that's supposed to be crying in the dark, not I don't want to learn about him from his fiance first.
So from there, when you were like Tracy came, my note was like, switch it to a woman's perspective. That's a bold move. Like, that's a very bold move for me. I'm like, oh, you being adventurous. Because like you
said, he was being adventurous.
And when I read the man's part, I'm like, Derek is a typical man. Like, that's written like not like the macho man. So how you gonna go from the macho man to a woman? And
like I said, we should have heard from the men first. The first 4 chapters should have been them first 4 men. Hearing each of their stories from them.
Because Tracy's point, I think it would have been, and honestly, I heard more from Tracy than I did Tony. I heard way more from Tracy. And it's like, her point of view was just, I really was like, do I hate men? Like, the baby mama thing was just doing too much for me. And I'm like, but it gave me his stance, but like, why was all of that even happening? And I think how you said it would have been much more meaningful if it was from Tony's perspective, because it could have made sense of man crying in the dark. Like, she's ruining my relationship. She doing X, Y, and Z. I don't know why
You
we
know
had to
what?
meet. Her name Valerie, right? Why we had to meet
Yeah,
through Tracy's eyes.
my thing with look, I'm skipping ahead in my notes for a little bit, but my notes was like, where the heck is Tony?
I'm gonna skip ahead. So let's see your next notes, because my notes are like this at this point was when I
Well,
was like taking notes every once in a while because I just
before I get to my next notes, all I'm gonna say is the moment we hit Tracy, that's when I went into writer mode. I was no longer a reader. I was a writer reading somebody else's work.
from the beginning I knew this was gonna be something because of something of that effect. Somebody asked me about the first thing I noticed was the writing. And somebody asked me when I went to this bookstore, somebody asked me about it. And I was like, he writes how he talks. Like, that's how I had to rationalize it, because yeah, the first thing I noticed, and I'm not, like I told you, I'm not one of them people who like it gotta be the most tip top. Like, I'm not like that. But the first thing I noticed about this book, there were the two first things. The first thing I noticed was the typical 90s thing and the writing. Then I said, I don't
I got another question.
hmm,
So, like we just established that at some point we start hearing from the women.
not them
So
Kelly.
I want to know, what was it like, you as a woman? What was it like reading the women's point of view? Did it feel like it sounded like a woman to you?
Oh, I had that right here. I'm like, when I was like, it's baby mama drama, but I was like, but it's a great pick me stance. It's great. It's giving pick me. It was. I don't know why we made the bold move, but yeah, it was giving pick me. It was not giving. It was like I could see a woman with that mindset for the times, but it was real. It's like, no, it's really giving pick me. Because why would you even call another woman to talk to her about her child? Why would you even? And you know she don't like you. And Tracy could have been a wonderful woman, and that's the thing too. If we would have heard it from Tony's perspective, because Tracy would have been. I did not need her, Tracy. I did not need her. She was just a strong, beautiful. Like, it was so many great things about her, especially in Tony's mind. I did not need that, and that did not, like, what she was doing did not back up. It gave insecure. It didn't back up anything, and I understand being angry. I understand because things happen, but I just felt like it was given stereotypical.
My next note is like, Mark don't love himself, and he bring all his problems on himself. I think out of all the men, Mark was my least favorite. He was my least favorite because I get that he don't date black women. It's some dudes who, oh, my preference this, my preference that. And I'm like, okay, good, fine, have your preference, whatever. I date black women, whatever. But my issue with Mark was that he was like, oh, I don't date black women because this one girl rejected me in middle school. And then after I got all beefed up in high school, they still didn't want me. I'm like, Mark, maybe it's because your personality is trash.
That man said, when I didn't look like I owned the store, these educated black women wouldn't talk to me. But when they found out I was a store owner, they would talk to me. You think I got a degree and I'm making 75,000 a year in the 90s and I'm going to talk to a janitor?
I mean,
And then when you do, you get pregnant, what happens? You got pregnant by what? You knew he wasn't going
a
to do.
janitor.
You
I
knew he
mean,
wasn't going to take care of you.
let's let's be real. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, how much somebody makes does factor into the relationship. Because at some point, especially if you want to get married, it's like, okay, if we get married, I want to buy a house. I want to have kids. That stuff costs money.
And people chastise women so much for like picking people who are deadbeats. Like, if she was to pick you and you ran out, and what you would have been, oh, you always love charity cases. That's why you pregnant now. That's why he can't take care of you. It's all that hoopla that is like too much. And with Mark too, something I just thought about is how many opportunities we lost to actually see men cry in the dark, because Derek gave the backstory of Mark, right? And of
He gave the backstory on all of them.
he did, but he gave the backstory on Mark about women and about how he used to get bullied and all that type of stuff. But to hear from Mark like the pain that actually caused him and to sort of realize why his mind was like that. And I think that what kills me about Mark too is I'm gonna get into this part though, because he quote for quote, I said, not this man falling for a girl from a racist family. I thought everything was all perfect, dummy. It's perfect, perfect, perfect. Except her parents don't like black people. Mr.
Look,
Perfect. You couldn't bring
this
your
let
kids home because they black.
let me tell you where Mark lost me. Mark was all, I don't like black women because they teased me and they ghetto and bougie and they always got an attitude. But the first time we meet Christy, his white girlfriend, what is she doing? She yelling at him, she going off on him, saying, "Oh, how dare you judge me and my racist family?" Da 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 da. Da. I'm like, so you don't want to date black women because they have an attitude, but your white girlfriend, the first time we meet her in the book, she yelling at you and going off on you. So what's really going on, Mark?
And it's so comical. That's why my first mindset was like, is this satire? Because this cannot be real. This could not be a real book with real perspectives. We missed so many opportunities. And like when he was eavesdropping on his sister, oh, he was so mad. What you mad for? And the part of them sleeping with other women's husbands, like the way that women were written in the story was like, you never, yeah, you the only good. You're telling me out of Chicago, which is a very black place, from my understanding, there was not one black woman that you knew that was good, except not even your sister. Not even your sister is a good black woman. Angela, she the man from Dos Equis, because she the most interesting woman in the world. She the most interesting woman. This woman is a boxer, can take down grown men, apparently been fighting in the street, owned 3 gyms, became a gym teacher. Mama was a police officer, tried to put her brother through college, never told nobody, went to therapy, but never talked to nobody about it, other than her best friend is somehow Derek. Okay. It was her taking the grown man down for me. But at least they gave it a realistic spin of like, okay, you did a low blow and then you took him down. But her fighting grown men, and that's not to say women can't fight grown men. That's not what it's about. It's just I feel like we got a lot of nonsense. We got a lot of nonsense that took us nowhere. Like I feel like it was a lot of like, you know how in ATL they keep talking about the skate party, the skate party, the skate contest, and they don't never had a skate contest, but they have all this information about it. That's what I feel about this book because it's like so much and so little with Angela. And why are we hearing so much from Angela's perspective? I know more about Angela's pain than any other person in this book. Don't
And
nobody have pain like Angela.
I'm gonna talk about Angela's pain right now. My issue is that we heard, not that we heard it from Angela, is we heard it from Angela and Angela's head. I'm like, this should have been used to, in a moment of like intimacy between her and Derek, to make their relationship stronger as a way of showing like, oh, this is the moment where like I really trust you because I'm telling you something I usually don't tell people. And that should have been a moment that like really like solidified their relationship. I feel like that would have had more impact for what happens later on in the book with their relationship.
My next one was okay, Nikki and Ben. Let me find out. Listen. When Nikki and Ben was like, it started off bad. He was all mad. Then she came out the house and Nikki and Ben could have been.
Look, you know what? We a little too far ahead. Oh my goodness. So since we talking about Nikki, I really wanted to like her. You know, because they made her seem like, oh yeah, she's younger than him, but you know, she's cool, she not doing nothing. But then what ended up happening was actually what happened was I stopped reading for a minute and I went to go look up some info about the book and I got spoiled on what she did.
Oh Lord.
And I was like, dang it, Nikki, I wanted to like you.
let's read. Okay, what was your notes before? Because we're gonna come
I
back to them.
look, I'm gonna just say this. I wanted to like her because everybody in the book didn't like her. And I wanted her to prove them wrong.
It's even here's my thing. Even with that, that could have been a beautiful story. She could have sat there and talked to him and talked about how she was hurt, like a conversation, and the men could have been vulnerable with her, conversation, even like because then that how you said that would have even made the breakup even more intense because it's like I told you all these things that I went through, and you did what you did. It would have gave, but I really because that would have been a breath of fresh air. That would have been the only thing in this book. Not the only thing. Yeah, no. That would have been the only thing in this book that wasn't stereotypical. Them working
Especially
out, it
especially
gave the reader
because
what they wanted.
especially because Ben's whole thing is, oh, I don't like dating women my age because they make me feel old and they got too much attitude and they always feel like they know everything. And he's like, I need somebody that I can like teach. But we gonna get to them. We gonna get back to that.
All of them could have been so much more complex. And Mark could have been so much more complex. Even having the conversation about like with Christy about like how he used to, or even them having the conversation, like sitting there, it's like, oh, push under the rug. Or you think I don't know what it's like to be a white woman dating a black man? Tell me. Tell me more. Since we want to go there, tell me more. I want to know more about what happened. What is it like? We never know.
Especially coming from a racist family. What is that like?
Tell us more. Tell us more. Oh, they in
Like, what is it like to not have a relationship with your
they go
parents
home.
because you chose your man over your parents? What's that like?
Like, I think you have more of an order. So you might need to leave this because I'm gonna be jumping all over the place. But with the parent thing, what bothered me too is that okay, he shocked me because I really thought he was gonna have to give her that bubble bath or whatever he was gonna have to do. I thought he was. So that part
Mm-mm.
shocked me. I said, oh, okay, he didn't have to. That was cool.
I
But
wasn't
even that
shocked.
could have been much more impactful. I wanted the dinner. I wanted the build up.
Like, seriously.
I
You
wanted
know
the
what?
set like he was looking at me. He made this comment, then he did this. It was like, oh, the first thing he said to me, we could
You
find
know
and we
what?
could leave.
And that was like one of my other issues with this book. It's like he would build up to situations, and then when you get there, it's like, okay, like the first, it's like each of these storylines, they had something they were building up to, and every time you got to like the climax of the story, it fell flat. Like take Derek's big presentation, for example. We building up to this presentation. It's the most stressful thing in his mind to the point that he's neglecting his relationship with Angela. And we get to the little PowerPoint and it's like, oh well, the magazine is successful here and this is what we want to do. And the guy is all like, oh yeah, okay, well, Angela, what you think? Oh well, I think
And just based off of her.
that presentation had me so upset because I was like, so first of all, it's gonna hinge on Angela whether he gets to make his magazine more nationally bought. And then Angela's first thing that she say is, "Oh well, I think he's not. Honestly, I think he's not charging you enough." I'm like, Angela, this is a pitch. This is a business pitch.
This is a
We
business
this
establishment.
is a business pitch. Like this is not like you talking to your homeboy who's gonna sponsor the magazine. This could take the magazine to the next level. And the first thing you say out your mouth is, "Oh, I think he's not charging you enough." You are being an enemy of progress, ma'am.
I ain't gonna lie. I like that part. I did. I liked that part because I was like, okay, girl, tell him he not charging enough. And I like the man. I think that's what made me like that part of the book. Because the man was just so fun and just like different. Like he gave a lot of the book gave stereotypical. So in it gave stereotypical and it gave negative. And not like negative in a pain way, like negative in a boo-hoo like podcast way. A lot of this book gave podcast to me. So when I got to that part, I was like, oh, he's fun. He not, but he was still a businessman. I think that's what I like. And I liked Angela's approach of like, okay, I'm gonna just be honest. because I felt like for me, from the business mindset was, if his woman don't like it, or if his woman can't stand 10 toes down for it, then I know it's not good. And then getting that perspective, because data can be one thing, but what are the people actually saying? So I like that. And I think that like that part of the book sort of showed him in a more, I guess, vulnerable state. We were able to kind of get in his mind. I would have appreciated for us to get that shower scene where Angela's talking about, I don't want to go bother him. I would have loved to know what was going on in his mind in the shower. I would have loved that, because I think that that's another thing of like, with the women in the book, we get them a lot, but we also see the men's pain through like a second, like a second person's point of view. So like, even when Tony, I like him. He kind of written a little good. Did Nikki get a part?
No, Nikki and Christy,
Good.
they didn't get a part, but
Good.
I'm gonna get to them in a minute. Because my next thought is Angela and Tracy both preached marriage before sex and having morals, but then they both contradicted themselves. And you know what? It's not this is not even a problem just with this book. I think this is a problem with 90s black literature in general. Because even when reading Friends and Lovers, Deborah was all like, "Oh, I'm not having sex till I get married."
My sister just walked in. She just walked in. You're
Hi,
okay?
sister.
Marriage before sex.
My issue was that they was preaching that mess, but then they didn't stand by it.
And I agree with you, because in Nani's book, that is a thing. And every time they lose, every time, I've rarely read a book where they made it to marriage. The way this book was just a lot. I did like the image in my mind of the party. I liked sorta. I like when she called Tony, because it was Tracy's perspective first, getting ready to go to the party. I liked when she called, not Tony, when she called
Valerie.
Derek, like Derek called
Oh,
her, and they had that conversation about clothes. And he was like, "I need you to check her out." That was a cute little friendship, like not superficial. There was a lot of superficial moments, but that one was cute. And then when everybody got to the party and they start eating, I was like, "I know that's right. Y'all better get to that food." Then she ain't here. Y'all better go eat. And the little white girl thing, we knew that was coming. But when they was playing Twister, that was cute too. Now, what was not cute at all, was Ben letting out that fart. Ben, I quote, Ben is such a head ass, body worn out. You're dating mothers. You're dating mothers. What do you mean? He's like, I don't want nobody there older with their body worn out. You're literally dating people who have 2-3 kids at the tender age of 23. Why are we worried about bodies being worn out? Not to say people who are mothers, but it's like, I would figure that somebody who had a child, you would think would be more worn down than, okay. Where's the, like, his whole little speech about dating younger women was like, it was giving Mark. Yeah. Yeah, it
oh,
was giving,
oh, wait,
Mark.
shoot. I said we was gonna get back to it. This is the time.
Yeah.
Ben in that speech, oh, I only date younger women because I need somebody I can train. That is the stupidest. I was like, you don't want a woman. You want a daughter. You want somebody who you can tell what to do, when to do it, and they have to do it no matter what because you are in charge of them. And I'm like, you don't want a woman. You don't want an equal. You want a daughter.
What
You
that
want
lady
somebody you can
said,
tell what to do.
just like that lady in the nail shop said. And what got me was like, even that scene was like, Nikki was kind of being mature about it. She was like, "What you say?" Like, let him. And she was like, "That's a crazy mindset to have." Like, she was being real mature about everything. for them to do my girl like that. For
Look,
being so,
I wanted Nikki to win. I
and
wanted
she
her to
should have.
prove everybody wrong.
She should have.
Oh my goodness. And then my next note, and I wrote the page number down. I said page 211. We finally get Tony. We finally get we finally get a perspective from Tony. And you know what?
Nobody.
This chapter was a double-edged sword because I was happy that we finally get to hear from Tony. And this is also the chapter where it became a two.
Mm-hmm. What made it two? Come
It
on.
was because it's like it's Tony's perspective, and like he's talking about basically stuff we should have went over in the first half of the book. Oh, my feelings on Erica, this, da 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 this. I don't know. It's just this is the point in the book where it just started falling off. I was like, once we got Tony, it just it went from a little realistic to okay, what am I reading?
What's after that?
Derek
After
and
what?
Vanessa ain't crap. That's my next note.
Eric and Vanessa.
Mhm.
Wait, Vanessa is the baby mama. Who's
No,
Eric?
Vanessa is the flight attendant that would I don't know, the flight attendant, homegirl.
Oh, no. Wait. Because my next note, I didn't know if I was skipping it. My next note, 2 days. I'm really about to throw this book because WTH, 2 days. That man said it's the day circle, big 2 days from now. 2 days? Two. He made me. I thought he was gonna say 2 weeks, a whole week, a month from now. That man said a whole 2 days. I'm not waiting. Then I was like, um, he bet not, because I didn't know how it was gonna go. I'm like, he bet not milk this and be like, well, we never had sex. I never act, because he was like the best act of non-penetration. I said he better not. And I was like, I hope Angela beat his behind and hers too. I hope because and he talking about you shouldn't be talking about your business. And for me, it's like, but where were they talking about business to? Because literally on the plane, it was hi, bye, girl. Hey, girl, got a man, bye. Why was y'all even? I just,
Like that's what I want to know.
it's too much stuff off screen for me. I need you to put some stuff on screen so that I can have something lined up. Why is all this stuff happening off the screen?
Hmm.
Why is it happening out of the book? Every time something happens, it's like how you said, inform. Like they might tell you, but then it's like, oh yeah, I told Eric this. Oh yeah, I told him this. Oh yeah, it's like that. It's not really like explaining.
It's like I want to see you tell him. I want to see y'all have these conversations. But we skipped the part. We skipped that dinner
300,
with the parents.
332 pages of what? The part with the parents was when he did the bet, huh? We were talking about that when he did the bet. And I
That's when
wish
they did the self plug.
I wish he would have milked that. I wish he would have actually sat there and did an actual build up to like the dad where she was inside. It was like, oh, she just came out in a rush. What happened? We leaving. You ain't gonna even tell her what happened? No, we just going. Then gonna talk about she owe you a plate.
No, actually, he did tell her, and she was all like, "This is my life, and you can't tell me what to do." And then they left.
I went to law school when you asked and da. I don't care.
I was like, "Bye,
I'm gonna
Christy."
tell you right now. We don't care. We do not. We do not care about
Because
what y'all.
my thing is, I knew it was gonna go left when he walked in there and the basketball game was on. I'm like, really?
I see from the bet, I was like, maybe it'll go right. Maybe from the bet it'll go right. Cause I know all that stuff he be talking. How many times he mentioned this woman can't season her food? Why you keep asking somebody who don't season their food to cook for you?
My next point says the wedding.
You know what my next point says.
It
It's
said,
the one thing.
I'm gonna read you mine, and then I want you to read yours. Mine says the wedding. Why is it so short? Why is Nikki a bridesmaid? Why is Angela the maid of honor? Where's Tracy's homegirls? Now you read yours.
Yeah.
Just read it.
But it literally says Tracy don't got no friends. How the hell is Angela her maid of honor? When they said Angela dressed was special because she was the maid of honor, her and Derek hadn't even been dating 6 months at that point, had they?
No, I think it was like a year at that point.
A year.
And my thing
But
is,
her and Tony had already been engaged.
yeah. But my thing is, why is Nikki a bridesmaid? Tracy don't even like her.
It ain't never gonna work.
I
Oh,
was
I thought it was.
like, I read that. I was like, why is Nikki in the wedding when nobody likes her except Ben?
No cousins.
I was
That's
like,
what killed me. Do none of them have friends?
and
No
I was like,
cousins.
where's Tracy's homegirls? Like, where are her friends? And then the reason why I say this tie back into the last point is because where was Angela's friends in the book? Did Angela have any friends outside of?
She did.
Because I don't
She
remember
had
none.
so she had that best friend. And then she would talk about like her sorority sisters from time to time. Like when she first was talking to Derek after the Valentine's thing, her homegirl, one of her sorority sisters were like on the phone talking about why do men cheat or something crazy like that. And so she had at least one friend. And she had that other girl, but she had something more than Tracy. Tracy,
Tracy
I
had
don't
no
think
friends.
Angela had a real maid of honor. She would have had a real maid of honor that she knew since college. Tracy, on the other hand, that's you know what that spoke to though? That's what happened when you pick me. That's what happened. When you pick me, you don't have no friends. So
I feel
don't.
like I was just like, where's her homegirls? I'm like, Tracy didn't have nobody she could. I could, I could rationalize Angela being in the wedding because the book said they had some talks where they became friends, but I couldn't rationalize Nikki and Christy, especially
I forgot
Nikki.
when I forgot Christy was even in the wedding. Why is she there? Did you literally just say, okay, y'all home, y'all they're just gonna be in the wedding?
No, that I feel like that's literally what happened. Like I feel like he wrote them as the bridesmaids because, well, I'm gonna give you two reasons. Because the second reason is my next point. The first reason is because the women, they have no identity outside of being the girlfriends and the fiance. Like, what do we really know about them outside of their romantic relationships? My second reason why the wedding was has so many questions is because them final chapters. You notice how the final chapters got shorter. I was like, these final chapters are seeming like deadline is coming up and he had to wrap it up to make deadline. So he just started writing down like the basics of what's supposed to happen. And that's why there's so many gaping holes in the story. And I was like, that's kind of evident with the wedding because he didn't have time to go into the friends and all that at the time because he gotta wrap it up.
It's 322 pages and you wasted 75% of the book on nothingness. On no character development. On no crying. On nothingness. Derek cried in the dark one time. He the only person we saw cry in the
Hold
dark.
on, hold on, hold on. Because get to your next point.
My next point, since we brought it up, I ain't gonna lie, I very much enjoyed Angela playing detective. I was like, because I'm like, no, it couldn't be her. It could not be her.
I was like, not your
Because
best friend.
yeah, I'm like her best friend. And she was so convinced. I said, that's a good part of writing. Now her running up on them. I said, now how you feel? How you feel? With the egg on your face? How you feel? But
No,
when she
for
was
me, it was her sitting out behind that bush, waiting all day for them to come home. I'm like, Angela, come on now.
but then you feel bad because you like right idea, wrong person. That gut feeling you have is right. Just the wrong person. Wrong. That girl wasn't even her friend. That's what made me mad. Y'all are not friends. Y'all are not friends. Y'all had a conversation here and there. Y'all are not homegirls. Y'all didn't even say it's like even if they would have put in the book like they had a few conversations, but no. But when she showed up to the hotel, I could have slapped Derek in his mouth.
Because he
I
just
could
sitting
have
there.
slapped him through the book. And then when she said, "Who is it?" and want to run her mouth. I said, yeah, Angela did exactly what she needed to do. She did exactly what she needed to do. Derek lucky he didn't get hit. I wanted him to get hit so bad. And I'm not even a domestic violence person, but listen, it's one thing to cheat on somebody. It's another thing to get angry with them
For
when they
reacting
catch
to
you
you
cheating.
cheating.
When they catch you cheating. And she didn't even know he was cheating. He could have really just been like, you know what, you gonna pop up over here? No, ma'am, not tonight. But Vanessa wanted, she wanted to be seen. So she said something and got carpet burns because that's what she get.
And then
And then
my thing was Angela talking about some, I should have known it was you, Vanessa. I'm like, how would you have known? We saw y'all interact once.
baby, because we didn't know. Anyways, let's go to the next part. We've been out here for so
We
long.
can talk about the party because after this, my notes wrapped it up.
Yeah. Oh, baby, I got like 2 lines. From Tracy ain't got no friends. It's the end of the book. It's the end of the book from there. Because I got tired. I got tired. I had to stop taking notes because I was like, I got too much to say. So he got to the party, and that's why I'm like, that's emotion. That's something. That's something to cry about. He because why? And then it made me more like, okay, with being angry with Valerie, because it's like, girl, what are you doing? Why
Why
are
would
you
you
doing
put
this?
your child in
Only
this
person who had-
predicament?
And he's the person who had common sense and valid reasons to be mad. Like, it's not even like he tried to put himself in that situation. It just happened. But he said, I'm gonna get my daughter. And what he said, you do it again, it's gonna be a problem. And then when they had to come back to jump them, oh, that was it. That was like, I said, you better get. He said, I wish the police would have gave me just a little bit more time. I said, I know that's right, Father Tony. You better get and
No,
protect your.
that whole time I was reading that part. You remember when I was reading The Family Business by Carl Weber? You know my
Mm-hmm.
favorite part. You know my favorite part is that whole mission with London trying to get her daughter back, trying to get
Oh
Mariah
yeah,
back. That's what this reminded me of.
it gave. And Tony, that's the thing. Tony, every not every decision, but most of the stuff Tony did make sense. It gave. I ain't gonna lie. It gave. It gave what this book should have been about. He had real problems, real solutions. Like even with the wedding, when he got cold feet, that's more emotion than all the other men put together. And then when he went through the roller coaster of like, you know what, actually I really do love her. He cried at the altar. I said, look, now that's men crying. Where the rest of y'all crying at? Y'all ain't doing other than self-imposed crying.
We gonna get to the crying.
So after that,
And then
and when he got
it was a Ben and Nikki with her whole giving him an STD. I was like, Nikki,
they
I wanted you to win.
they they didn't just make her young and dumb. They made her young. It was him finding the videotapes. It was so out of character that I didn't like it. So much better could have been done. And it was so out of character. Like even him throwing the stuff on the lawn and then Mark being that's what she's supposed to be treated like. You just ready to hop on like the
It's like
black woman train.
now we doing too much.
Yeah, I understand Ben being mad, but like him finding the videos, I just feel like all that was played out. Nikki, I truly believe Nikki deserved better. I I don't even think, oh, she should have did, but no, Nikki deserved better. Nikki deserved that could have been a beautiful story about her getting it together. Even when she was like, I know I haven't been doing much, but I'm getting it back together. It could have been a turnaround and be like, you know what, she got back in school, she realized she was just depressed going through this. And even if it was me giving him ideas for the book, but it could have been like, even if it was like her coming out and being like, I was just depressed, I'm sorry, da da, back when we first got together, I was still dealing with my baby daddy, even though I said I wasn't. Them going through a whole, ordeal about that because that's traumatizing. And then getting back together in the end because they love each other and she got a little boy. All of that would have been cute. That would
I,
have been cute. That would have gave it depth.
I wanted Nikki to win. Like, and so when that whole thing happened, I was like, darn it, Nikki. But I wasn't surprised because, like I said earlier, when the baby daddy came over and they was in the house for a minute, I'm like, okay, yeah.
But they had to make her no, because he had to make her not trifling, the most trifling of them all. The most trifling of them all. Not only did she give him spoilers are coming. Not only did she give him an STD, but the videotapes, multiple men. Like y'all had to make her. And then why would she be so stupid to leave him in there? That made me like she deserves so much more. It was I feel like he's a lazy writer. Like I feel like his brain scattered. He a lazy writer, and I think that he just did what fit. And I guess that's what you do as a writer, but did what fit the narrative that he wanted. Cause that was just, and Ben ain't even cry. So where we getting the crying from? Cause he ain't even cry.
You know what? Because you said it, are we just gonna get into it? This book is called Men Cry in the Dark. It's four men, and only three of them cried. And one of them cried, well, no, two of them cried twice. Let's go over this. Derek cried because he got a phone call from no. The first time he cried was because he was like, life is good because he was winning. The second time was because he was lonely because Angela left him after he cheated. I wanted this book to
No.
win,
Let me
and
tell you when he got a
it let
zero.
me down.
Let me tell you when he got a zero. That last chapter, that man went all the way there, got on that phone, said this woman's name on the radio in the town I live in that have 3 businesses in, and let them know you cheated on me, and then want me to take you back on the radio. And hold on. Well, Derek, I'm sorry things didn't work out, Justin said. Actually, it worked out just fine, Derek said, sounding relieved. I needed a woman to come along and tell me to go to hell. Maybe that's what a lot of men need to grow up. And if you're listening, Angela, I want to thank you for demanding respect. It has made me a better person and a better man. I can slap you with this book. I can slap you with this book. We did all that to end up nowhere. We ended up nowhere, nowhere in the book. It's not even enough time for him to learn his lesson and even possibly redeem himself. It not you.
I'm telling you, that man had deadline coming up, and he's like, I gotta wrap it up.
And if you are listening, Angela, I want to thank you for demanding respect. It has made me a better person and a better man. That's how you're gonna end this book. That's how we wrap up this book. That's how zero.
And you know what? Now that we talking about
Zero.
it, where was the conclusion for the other three? The four men that's supposed to be crying in the dark. Where was the conclusion for the other three?
Zero. Other than everybody got somebody. Mark got Christy. Tony got Tracy, and even Ben got him a woman. She a little round, but she still.
A little round nurse that's his age.
Let me tell
I
you
just,
something.
I'm gonna give my final thoughts, and I'm gonna let Tati go off. All I'm gonna
Go
say
ahead.
is, all I'm gonna say is, all I'm going to say about Men Cry in the Dark is that I wanted Men Cry in the Dark to win. I wanted this book to win. I was literally searching high and low for a book to put on for Black men, and this was not it. It failed me. You failed me. And you know what? I heard that stage play was even worse than the book.
I can only imagine. Because this right here, let me tell you something. I know I said it before, but this is a zero. This is a zero. That last page, this man right here, if I could fight like Angela, him right here, he would have to see me. This book, that ending was, that's when it got a zero because I realized it was going no, like it was no coming back. There is no character development. There's not really a plot. There's nothing happening. Everything is this. The whole, and every time you think it's gone, it don't. It does nothing. Derek is the same person at the beginning that he is at the end. The same exact foul person. The person that went through the most of a roller coaster got like 2 chapters. We don't even get to see how hurt Angela is. All we know is she said, "Don't call my phone no more." That's all we saw. We didn't see nothing else. We don't know what happened. We don't know if Terry got a baby, or Tracy got a baby or not. How big? And then everything we found out at the end was like, Derek, yeah, my home, everybody together. Except me, I'm lonely. Like you was at the beginning. You lonely because you didn't learn nothing. Talking about, I learned a lot. Sometimes you gotta get dogged out. What did you learn? What did we learn from this book? 300. 332 pages of nothingness. That last chapter, that's where he got the 0, because especially because of what Ronald said. Y'all, I'm a romance person and I read both male and female authors, but I read enough male authors to know what this could have been. I think that's what irritates me the most, because if he wanted to save this, he had plenty of opportunities to make this a good book. And he chose time after time after time to make it. I'm not going to be ugly, but I'm going to just say, this is a 0. Okay? I will give it a -1. But since I cannot, it's a 0.